Let's talk about hybrid meetings. Now, hybrid meetings are where, like in this picture, it's where you have people joining the meeting from online, from around the world, but you then also have people in this meeting that are together face to face in the office. And these can be problematic sometimes, mainly for the people joining online. So, what can we do to make our hybrid meetings better? The first thing I'm going to say is, if possible, just change it completely into an online meeting, because it is more difficult for the people joining online. And it is hard for the people in the room to remember that there are people online and that they need to change their behavior. It's very easy when you're in a room to start talking, interrupting, people talking at the same time. It gets very excited. There's a lot of things happening. And what happens? The people online, they can't hear what's going on. They can't see what's going on because the camera hasn't been set up very well. They're not being invited to participate because the people in the room have forgotten that they're even there. So if you have a majority of people joining online from around the world and you've only got, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 people actually in the room, better off just telling everyone, even if they're all in the office on that day, tell them to go to their desk, tell them to find a room so that they all join from their own computer and they're all joining online. So that'd be the first thing I would say about hybrid meetings. However, there are some hybrid meetings that just need to be hybrid. There's going to be people in the room and there's going to be people joining online. How can we make them better? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the technical considerations. What can we do to make it the best experience for everybody? So the first thing is audio. Audio is the most important thing for the people joining online, because trying to hear what conversations are happening in the room, sometimes even trying to hear what other people joining online are saying, but hearing what conversations are going on in the room can be very, very hard. So you need a good microphone system. Now, the microphone on the laptop is not good enough to pick up multiple voices having a conversation. You need to have a specialist conference microphone. They're usually these little round ones that have various microphone arrays. The newer ones even use AI to isolate voices, to pick up on voices, to do noise reduction. For the people watching at home, this AI will often, the person sitting on the right, the voice will come from the right-hand side, and the person sitting on the left, the voice will come from the left-hand side. So you need a good microphone in the room where people are meeting face-to-face in order for the online people to hear correctly. And remember, audio is going to be more important than the visual. Sometimes it doesn't matter whether we can see the people seated around the table or not. The most important thing is that we can hear them. The other thing is, it doesn't matter how good your image quality is. You can have a 4K image quality of a beautiful room with beautiful people sitting around the table. But if the audio isn't good, we find it very irritating at home joining online when the audio isn't good. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the camera. Make a conscious decision about how to place the camera and to think about, what do remote participants need to see to participate? Because by default, what most people do is they have this camera and it's pointed at the entire room and you can see the entire table with everyone sitting at it. But often that doesn't add anything to the people at home. They can't even see the faces very well. Sometimes we'd prefer not to see the people sitting at the table. We'd prefer to see the board where stuff is being written on. We'd prefer to see the slides. We'd prefer to see the mural whiteboard, the digital whiteboard. So show the participants at home on the screen, in the biggest format possible, what they need to see, not just thinking that they need to see a view of the people in the room. A nice idea for this, and very easy to do, is to use a portable webcam. So if this meeting is being run from a laptop on the table, then connect a second camera, a webcam, to this laptop, and that webcam can be passed around the table very easily. And so when I'm talking, I'm holding the webcam and I can, look into the webcam and look at the people in the room, and that way I'm including the people online. And then the next person who needs to speak, you can hand the webcam over to them. Even better when this webcam has microphones. A lot of the webcams actually have the microphones built in, and that way the person speaking is being heard well. You can see them and you you can hear them because it's the equivalent of holding a microphone to your mouth by holding the webcam in front of you as you're speaking and passing it around. Finally, the display, and I'm talking now about the display, the screen that's in the room, that's in the office where the people are physically present. What should you show on that display? Well, the best thing to show on that display, as big as possible, would be the participants who are joining online, shown in gallery view. Gallery view is when you see all the faces, in squares on the screen. And show that, because what it does by showing that big in the room on the biggest screen, and maybe on the other screen show PowerPoint or show slides if they need to be shown, but by having the online participants shown big on the big screen, it reminds the people in the room that there are people joining online. It makes them more conscious of this. It makes them therefore not speak at the same time, because they're not going to hear them. The people at home aren't going to hear that. It's going to make them check in on them. It's going to make them check in. Do they have any questions? Include them in the interaction. So that's a nice way to include the people that are joining online. Now, the next thing is about the group dynamics in hybrid meetings and how you can best facilitate these kind of meetings. So the first thing is the exercises that you design, the dynamics that you design. Just remember, they should be designed for all the attendees. So if you're going to use tools like whiteboards, polls, breakout rooms, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that combining people online and people in the room? So the easiest thing to do, let's say for breakout rooms, is just to have the people in the room be one breakout room and then join up the people online in other breakout rooms. If you're going to use a whiteboard, then unfortunately it's probably best that you only use a digital whiteboard so that everyone can add to, like a mural whiteboard or a Microsoft Teams whiteboard. That means that everyone coming to the meeting for the face-to-face version needs to bring a laptop, because when they're writing their ideas, they will also need to write their ideas into the digital whiteboard. Things like that to keep it in mind when you're designing your meeting. The next thing is, as the facilitator, when you're asking questions to the group, you need to wait longer for answers. There's going to be a delay, just a delay in time. It's only a few seconds for the people online at home, but also because they're at home and they're not in the room and they're not feeding off that energy in the room, and because they're alone in their own rooms somewhere else, then they usually take more time to think before they speak. Whereas the people in the room are kind of competing to get their voice in. So wait longer for answers and be comfortable with that kind of silence while you're giving time to people who are joining online to answer questions and to give their opinion on stuff. The next thing that's a really good idea is to assign a second facilitator for the virtual participants. So remember, the main idea of this course is that you assign a facilitator to the meeting. The facilitator is the captain of the ship. They run the meeting, they keep to the agenda, they manage the group dynamics. If you're running a hybrid meeting, very good idea, get someone to manage the people that are online. That person can keep an eye in the chat for questions. If some people decide to write their questions or write their comments instead of speaking into the microphone, they can see for raised hands, when people raise their digital hand in Microsoft Teams, and they can deal with any technical issues that people might be having, like access to boards or their audio isn't working, etc. And then finally, a recommendation for hybrid meetings is that everyone, the people in the room or the people online, should raise their hand to speak. Now, this might seem a bit strange for the people that are physically present in the room, but it just means that they have the same limitation, they have the same way of asking to speak as the people online. So you literally raise your hand, and that way the facilitator and the co-facilitator can keep an eye on everyone, both the people that are joining online and the people in the room, who wants to speak, who wants to offer suggestions. Raised hand.